But what's funny about most of the AI tech that we keep hearing about that's supposed to be, replacing our jobs is that it doesn't really endanger the guy that's doing manual labor as much as we thought. Like carpenters, plumbers, welders, even truckers are not yet being put out of work by AI. Of course, there's self-driving. That's, those AI are getting better each day, but it's still not good enough yet for most people to want to put a self-driving AI in charge of a 30-ton truck that's full of expensive merchandise on a highway with other people, like legislators, the companies that own these trucks and own the merchandise. Nobody is quite ready to take that step. But digital artists, man, that industry has been hit hard by tools like DALL-E 3, Midjourney, and Stable Diffusion. And just like how the AI for self-driving cars is trained on the driving habits of good drivers, these AI art tools are trained on the artistic habits, which is just ultimately the artwork they create, of good artists. And obviously, that's got a lot of artists pissed off because the AI that's being used, the AI is literally using their work to take their jobs away. Now, so far, the way that most artists have been fighting against this AI-generated artwork is in the courts. They've been filing lawsuits against companies that make these AI tools, but that really hasn't been going so good for the artists so far. It's kind of hard to use our current copyright laws to interpret what these AI art tools are doing as an infringement of copyright. And so there isn't much keeping the so-called prompt engineers, the people who are really, really good at generating the specific kinds of images that they want and that other people like to look at with these tools, from just beating digital artists, like people who are really good at GIMP or Photoshop or whatever, in contests, and of course in the workplace, except for instances where private companies just outright ban the use of AI-generated artwork like Steam did. But then you've got a whole other problem now, which is how do you determine whether or not something is actually AI-generated? Sometimes you can tell with specific images. Like AI tends to have trouble with creating realistic looking hands and especially photorealistic faces, because there's a lot of details that go into a human face and I guess a human hand as well. And if you get any of them slightly wrong, it really triggers that uncanny valley sense. Like it just doesn't look right. But when it comes to cartoons, backgrounds, logos, or anything else that human beings aren't as sensitive to, the AI is just able to rip off your artwork. It's able to pretty much be used as a drop-in replacement for commissioning an artist to do that artwork. And like I said, it'd be very difficult to tell some of these, I guess, simpler designs are actually generated by AI. But now the artists actually have a way to fight back against this with a technique called glazing. So this is a free tool called Glaze that was developed at the University of Chicago. And what it does is make small changes to your image, kind of like adding a filter. But the purposes of this filter is to actually filter neural networks from being trained on your image. So obviously, these tools are very early into their development, but we can see some examples here in the UC Chicago news post.